Hello Gary, believe it or not, these are your finished carburetors that you've been waiting forever for and figured they'd never show up, but here they are, and I certainly appreciate your patience. Now then, I'm going to warm these up and then show you how they run, and while they warm up I'll give you some information. I believe you can hear me over the engine. Got a stone cold engine, so we don't really need the choke. It's like about 90 degrees out right now, but there's a choke actuating. Should just take a couple of blips of the throttle. Let's give it a shot here. I didn't mean to do that. That's cold. Now then, you'll be operating with the choke, and as you operate the choke, you'll notice you're actually opening up the throttle linkage. So in addition to operating the butterflies, you're going to be operating the throttle linkage. About the only thing you can adjust on these is the position of your choke levers. You use these set screws, and you can move them in and out, rather up and down, in relationship to the airlock cable is coming down through here. Check your airlock cable first, make sure it's smooth and free. You know that these are working just fine. And then when you put it all together, you're going to notice it binds because you're pulling straight up on these and they're wanting to come out in an arc. And so this is kind of a Rube Goldberg operation, but it will operate, it will function. Just makes the choke cable feel stiff. Now then, let's go through here with your carburetors. We got new throttle shafts, we got new butterflies, we got bushings in the bodies. All the mounting surfaces have been machined. Got factory needle and seat. We've got factory auxiliary pump gaskets and diaphragms and vacuum secondary diaphragms, which, as you can tell by the red color. Idle mixture screws. Let's see here if I can show you the idle mixture screws through here. Idle mixture screws right here. Do not mess with the idle mixture screws. They are set where they need to be, which is closed, and they do not need to be messed with under any circumstances. Let's see here, what else? Heel coil has been installed in the where the air horn attaches. I'll put the studs in later on. I don't do them now. We got anodized aluminum plates to reinforce the bodies to keep them from potentially cracking. Even though this is the latest style of carburetors as specified by yourself, as you can tell right here by the beefed up inlet for the fuel on the footwell cover, and then of course you'll be able to see on the bottom where you got bosses, big nickel-sized bosses that have been cast into the bodies to help prevent cracking. But we've also got our aluminum plates on there. All of these parts that you see have been cadmium plated, not zinc, but cadmium, for original and for durability. Let's see, when you are mounting the carburetors and you're doing the gosh, I should have two wrenches here. I'll get a wrench. Hang on a second. Okay, I'm doing this so that the engine can warm up. You don't tune these engines until they're warmed up. Now then, when installing the fuel line, you're going to use two wrenches. One to stabilize the fitting in the carburetor, and then this one is doing your turning. That's so you don't potentially rip this fitting out. When you are installing the carburetors, it's best to use a crisscross pattern when you're bolting these up, and do them uniformly. And then before these carburetors are tight where they can just wiggle a little bit, take your big air log and install the air log on here, and then tighten up these bolts so that you can air log will come off, on and off, so that later on when you're ready to install the air log, the carbs are not misaligned and you have to undo them and start all over again. Alright. Do not forget to install your carburetor support rod, which ties into your air log and to the side of the block. Alright, what else we got here? Fuel! Fuel is so important on these carburetors. They do not tolerate crappy fuel. or dirty fuel. If you see any what looks like dust or sediment or dirt in your fuel system and your fuel filter, that's rust, and you need to take care of it immediately. I also suggest you install a aftermarket fuel filter before the fuel pump. This would be a steel fuel pump, fuel filter that you can get at your local auto parts store. You need an extra fuel filter in line. The original factory filter is not worth much. Okay, we're getting close to warmed up here. You will not have to tune these carburetors. The most important thing that you have to do is synchronize your linkage, and that is also the most difficult thing to do. Let's see if we're up to temperature here yet. We're getting close. Temperature's coming up. We are not quite warmed up. Not getting close, but not quite. And something that helps measurably in tuning these carburetors, should you ever need to do that, which would entail removing the air log, but as I say, these are tuned and you do not have to screw with anything. But if you do want to adjust them, then get one of these off of the internet. Amazon's got them, and everybody else and his brother's got one. It's called a synchrometer. Synchrometer, and the unit we use is says BK2-40, and that's the one we use without any attachments. Just and what that does is measures airflow. You want to have uniform airflow going through your carburetors. And what we're doing is checking how well our second barrels seal up. And right now we're about 2.5, and about 2 3/4 right here. And these will seal up better as they wear in. And what I'm looking at is the red needle right here. Hopefully you can see that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to check how these are drawing right here. We're drawing at 6 here, and drawing at about 5.5 here. And if we want to change that, we simply get this up to where you can see what you're doing. Alright, so we want to change this, and we want it to draw a little bit more. And we just dial it right there. Just make a little adjustment right there. And there we are at 6. Just took about a quarter of a turn, or maybe not a quarter of a turn, 1/8 of a turn. And we're at 6 there. And then the other adjustment that is going to be made, but again, you don't need to do it, is the idle mixture screw right here. What you do is you dial this one in until the engine stumbles, out until it stumbles, and you get your midpoint. Starting to stumble, back it off. And you hear it stumbling, hear it getting worse. That's giving you an idea how it sounds when it gets worse, but you don't get to that point. You get a very minute adjustments. Very minute. Alright, same thing with this guy right here. Whether you see that or not, yeah, right here. Same thing with this one. And you can do that without taking the air log apart and doing anything else. It's just without any other messing around with the carburetor. You can do this just by hearing. This is and sensing how the engine is running. And you will adjust these so that the carburetors will run on your engine. Right now they're running on my engine, which is a really worn out, clapped out engine. If they can operate this engine, they can operate anything. And one of the things you also want to do, the most critical thing you're going to be faced with, is linkage. Excuse me. What you want to do is take the linkage off, and all these rods, the rods from the pedal on up to here are preset. I'll give you that information when I send you the carburetors. This final rod is the one that's a turnbuckle, and you got a left-hand thread and a right-hand thread, and what you do is you dial it in until when you go to snap the ball on there, your idle does not change. Nothing has changed. And if you have worn out shaft here, or if you got sloppy balls and sockets here, it's all gonna be for naught. But the carburetors are so good you may not notice. And I've got your idle set at about 750. If you want a different idle, then what you do is you come here and you screw in each of these idle screws the same amount. So let's say we want to bump up the idle. Screw that one in a quarter turn, that one a quarter turn. Now we want to go back. We want to go back. Now my return spring is not as strong as the one that's going to be on the engine, so that's why I'm pushing up on the carburetors like that. Anyway. And back to where they were. Very nice drivability, or well, yeah, very nice response, I should say. You are good to go. These are a fabulous, fabulous set of carburetors. I think you'll be happy. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. I think those are fabulous. And just for fun, we'll try a hot restart, see how that goes. It's a beautiful thing. Carburetors are a beautiful thing when they work, and when they don't, they will just drive you crazy. Believe it or not, one of the hardest things to do on these cars is to make these chokes work properly. Unbelievable. Hard to believe. I guess I already said that. Thank you again, Gary, for your patience and many, many miles and years of motoring fun.